My name is Tom Deacon. An absolute pleasure to have you with us. And it's my first time doing Nitro Nights Stories. And I have to say, I'm really, really excited and can't wait to get our guest on and actually chat to them about everything that is involved with sim racing. But not just that, but really finding out what motivates them, what drives them, excuse the pun, and what makes them have that focus and desire to continue doing what they do. And that's just a taster of what is going to happen over the next part of this show. For the next 30, 40 minutes, we'll see what happens in the chat. Obviously, there is an opportunity for you to get your questions in as well if you are watching live. So without further ado, let's do this. And I know what I love most about this fantastic content creator's work is it's so honest and humble, and you get to follow her journey through what she's doing. And if you haven't watched her videos already, make sure you do. Right, without further ado, let's get Theamusante onto the show. So welcome, Lauren Theamusante, to Nitro Nights Stories. So great to have you with us. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That is the familiar backdrop that people who watch your fabulous videos will see. This is where you are learning. This is where you've been going on your journey in sim racing. Is there going to be more added to that setup behind you? Maybe pictures, posters? What's the plans?
So you can't actually see the full setup, and there's one thing that actually drives me a bit mad is these pads. When we bought them originally, they're actually really, really cheap pad. I should have bought them black because they've now turned a dirty yellow, and that's driving me completely crazy. But we've got a wall on that side over there, which has actually it's a gridded wall. So it's got a picture of my More Female Racers Championship. So me and a few of the girls that were in the championship hosted by the Sim Grid. I've got a beautiful picture of us racing on track at Misano. And then I've got Leila Lombardi and Michel Mouton, two of my favorite inspirations on the wall. And I've got my gloves hanging and my Renault cap as well.
We will picture it. I can picture it now. At some point, I'm sure we'll be able to see it. Well, Theamusante, it's great to have you as part of this show tonight for Nitro Nights Stories. And I hope you're all right with this. We're going to go in depth, in detail, and ask you really what inspires you and how you ended up becoming a content creator. So if you don't mind, I'd like to start there. Let's go back to the beginning. How did it all happen that you ended up streaming your sessions online and putting it out there for the world to see? What made you want to do that?
So I've always wanted to create content. So obviously I've worked in fashion. So, well, I still work in fashion full time. But I thought that it would be good for me to start making videos around fashion. So I've tried that, but I wasn't really enjoying it fully. I just wanted to find something that was my hobby. I started actually from a very, very young age. I thought I was going to be a singer, like I guess some of us. So I uploaded videos, which I've also shared with my community because I'm sure someday they will come out one way or another. So it was videos of me online singing. And then more recently, I've actually watched the Bathurst 12 Hours. And then I found a passion for sim racing. And I thought, why not just combine the two together? Obviously, I've been watching Jimmy Broadbent, Jardier, and a lot of others, sim racing YouTuber, content creator. And so I thought, I can do the same thing, but in my own way, obviously, because I'm not as talented at them. I can share my journey with the community, with the viewers, see how they react to it. And they've been reacting really well to it. And that's how it all started, really.
And the question is, you will continue to do it because when you find something you love and enjoy, and I'm assuming you're still enjoying it as much as when you started, that you will continue to do it. Are you still getting that buzz?
I'm definitely still getting that buzz. So I think, like everything, I'm quite an organized person, and I like to think I'm quite driven as well. So I started this channel with a few goals in mind, so that I keep going toward these goals. So one of them was to bring more women in the world of sim racing, because I felt like that was something that was really missing. And another one of my goals was to compete at high level. So I've had the chance already to kind of like judge what it's like to to be competing with higher level. I'm not at that level yet, but I've tried my best, and I can see the work that you need to be putting behind to get to that level. So there's definitely for me a long journey for me to reach this pro level I want to be at some days.
Yeah. Do you think that, obviously from the world of fashion, and you mentioned about your singing career, which I don't worry, during the Nitro Night Stories, I won't be asking you to do any singing unless you really want to. But did you find that kind of competitive element, that you are someone who's quite driven no matter what you do? It doesn't matter if it was sim racing or the fashion or performing. You are quite a driven person anyway.
I am, yeah, and I think there's a few. Well, I'm driven. I am driven and competitive. I'm competitive over anything. I've actually gotten angry at my little nephew once because we were playing a board game and he won, and I really deeply regret my reaction. But that's just the way I am. I'm a little bit too competitive. We have a lot of argument with my fiancé as well when we play games, because I just can't handle if he wins. It has to be me winning.
Yeah, and I suppose that lends itself so perfectly to motorsport in general, but more so sim racing as well. You're able to compete, because that's what you are. If you want to be a racing driver, you've got to compete with everyone on the track.
Yes, and it's also a mix of. There's a lot of people out there sharing the same hobbies. So obviously, I found this was my hobby, and it's competitive, but at the same time, you can make a lot of friends, and it's a place where you can share your passion for racing together. I've learned a lot from my community. I've learned a lot from my fiancé, who had obviously he followed motorsport for a long time, so he's taught me a lot. And then you might have seen Matt on stream with me. So he's a friend that I made through the community. He's actually donated most of my current setup, my T300 Thrustmaster, my Ferrari wheel, the F11. So I've met him through this, and he's been a big part of my journey, especially for the past 4 weeks, where he's actually lived with me to help me on this journey. So it's competitive, but then at the same time, I've met some long-term friends, I think, through this. So it's a mix.
Yeah, I suppose the sport itself, you have to be competitive, but you have to be competitive with yourself to want to improve and be able to manage those moments where things are going to go not to plan, and you have goals in mind. So how do you manage that competitive side? But before we talk about the community, how do you, Tia, manage that competitive drive that you have in you?
I think it's something that you learn progressively, because I have a term that I use for what I used to be on track. It's wissy, where it just means I was a bit soft. So I was going on track, and I wasn't happy with where I was placing myself. Where I was arriving in final position. So I was arriving, I don't know, maybe at the back of the track after everyone else. So it's really about pushing yourself not to be that, so be more defensive on track. But it's all related to mental conditioning, also strategy, make sure you're comfortable with your car. There's a lot that goes on behind, and I think being competitive just comes naturally. But like you said, it can't all be all friendly, lovely dovely. When you're on track, you have to be competitive.
Yeah, you definitely do. Just to let everybody know, a Phantom Nia says Thea's community is a great sim racing community to be a part of. Just mentioned that on Twitch, and you do talk about that community. People are saying hello. People are commenting on which videos they like. I believe there's one with a helium video, which we will definitely have to talk about.
Oh,
but in terms of that community, if you set out when you started streaming and creating content for people to enjoy your journey, was there a point where the community became one of your goals to get more connected? How did your goals change when you started?
So I gave you earlier my two main goals, but building a community was one of them, because when I started, I tried my best to chat in some of the chat of the current YouTubers, and I found that they were not always welcoming for newcomers, because if you don't know much, you're then being laughed at. If you're a woman, then sometimes they tell you to go back in the kitchen. So I wanted me to create a space where anyone from any level could come and enjoy sim racing and learn along the way. So we've got obviously some talented sim racing driver who teaches to the newer people. But I wanted to make a space that would be welcoming for me if I was starting a new place. So I always try to keep in mind that sometimes I speak to my friends who are not in sim racing, and I ask them advice on how can I make it more welcoming if you were coming into the sim racing community. And so I asked them to watch my stream as well. So I force them to watch. They come in the chat. They give me feedback afterwards. So that reminds me that I can't always be, because when you're growing along the way, you tend to go back to what sim racing is like, and you're being very technical, and you're not thinking about the new one who started, because it's been 8 months, so I'm starting to use the same vocabulary as some others that are more experienced. So it's nice for me to have these friends that are outsider to the sim racing community, because they constantly remind me, no, Thea, you have to be welcoming.
I suppose that's so important, isn't it? To be welcoming, because if you don't know something, people are very quick to want to tell you the answers and this is what you're doing wrong. But actually, to be welcoming is to go, hey, this might help. It's being encouraging, because the more people involved in the community, there will be that cross pollination of information, and we're all in it together kind of attitude, and we can improve, because the moment you start trying to tell people that you're doing something wrong, they don't grow from that. So I guess you've grown, and the community and the people around you have grown as well.
But it's also so obviously I've had a lot of people sharing their stories with me behind this, just sending me personal message, and there's a lot of things that touched me. So I've inspired a few girls to start racing from younger age, or maybe a man had sent me a picture of his wife racing while pregnant, and that literally put a big smile on my face. And there's a few guys of the community that have told me that they had a rig, they've left it because they couldn't find anywhere where they felt like they were belonging, and so they had the rig just not being used for a year or a couple of years, and they just found my stream just by chance, and then since they've been racing in every single community races with us. So yes, there's I just love the space I've created. I think there's a lot of stories where I'm trying my best, definitely, and some people are receiving it that way, so I'm hoping I can keep building it on that. So if you're watching now and you want to start sim racing, you're very welcome.
Yeah, well, I think it's testament to you. 8 months into sim racing. I mean, I got into sim racing from the work I do with F1 esports, and Nitro Nights brought me on board. But hey, there's things I have to learn about all the time. I never go out and say I know everything, but to create a space in which everyone can grow and enjoy it. I mean, Grim Cheaper 7 here says Thea's community pulled my girlfriend into sim racing. She is now better than me and done more championships than me. Now, there's a competitive element between a couple there, but just the fact that says that you're one of those heroes that especially in his eyes, where you're able to just give someone something new that they might not have known that they were really going to enjoy and love.
Well, I think that's the problem I had, because my mom is not into motorsport. My dad is not into motorsport. My brother was into video games, but nothing to do with racing. So the only thing I did while growing up that could be related to racing is Mario Kart. So really, I think it's important for people to have an example to follow. So I didn't see any girls growing up either on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube girls doing it, so I never thought in my head, well, you know what, you can sim race, it's for you as well. So I hope that by doing this and by creating a welcoming community, I can actually tell other people out there that are not talented, maybe because starting a new hobby is hard. You have to go on a learning curve. Not everyone is mentally ready. Well, I want to tell everyone that you can be ready. Look at me, I'm doing it. I'm making lots of mistakes on stream. I'm crashing against the AI, against it's welcoming for everyone. You can do it. I just want to show that you can be genuine. Like you said, you actually made me blush before we start. So yeah, you can be yourself and you can sim race.
Yeah. And I think, hey, it's 2020. If you can't be yourself, or if you can't be yourself in an environment, then you create one in which allows you to do that. A question here before I move on slightly. Do you think, this is from Cluffer, KLUFFAH, says,
Yeah,
do you think making Cluffer, do you think making good content is more important than going fast? I suppose as a content creator, you want to make content. And before I talk about how much you were doing over lockdown, what stands up for you, going fast or making good content?
Oh, this is a tough one. I can't go fast yet, so I'm just gonna say making good content based on what I can actually do. Okay. I think, it's a tough question.
It is a tough question, but I suppose if you're in the business of making great content, people want to see. If you could do it all, then that's great to watch. But I think people love to watch the story unfold in front of them. And that brings me on to ask you about the fact that during lockdown, you told me just before we went live that going from 5 days content that you would put out for people, even though you're doing another job on top of this becomes another job, or when I say job, it takes up a large amount of your time. You then went to 7 days. So first of all, why start with 5 days a week you wanted to do?
So 5 days a week was what I could handle with having a full-time job, because I have to go to my work, come back. So we managed to fit the gym as well within our very tight schedule. We didn't see many friends for the first period, and then after with COVID, we actually didn't see any friend anymore. But at first I started with full time, and then I've been put on furlough for a while, which is why I thought, well, I'm just going to go all in. I'm really enjoying it. I might just do 7 days a week. And there is a moment where you actually do it. There was a couple of things. One, I wanted to share everything with the viewers and the community, my progress. So I thought I'm just going to stream everything I do. The second thing is, once you start streaming, it becomes really addictive. I actually miss talking to my chat if I don't do it for a couple of days, and then you're not as entertaining, I guess. If you're not doing it for a couple of days, you're coming back, you're getting nervous. When you're doing it constantly, it's just much easier. And yeah, I miss them, and also it gives me an excuse to be sim racing. So if I know I'm going to be streaming, I know I'm definitely going to be putting my at least 2 hours a day where I'm going to be driving.
Yeah. Because I watched one of your videos. You were driving the Porsche 718 at Cayman, and then going straight into a competition as well to try and test yourself. And I just it just seems effortless when you're doing what you're doing. And I'm not trying to flatter you in any way, but genuinely watching your videos it is great, because it just seems like you're being you. But that must be difficult sometimes, because you might not be in the right mood, you might not be in the right frame of mind to stream, but you're letting people into your life. How have you found that?
So obviously I can't really hide my feelings. My name actually means the truth in Greek, the goddess of truth. So I've always grown up thinking I can't hide, I can't lie. And most of my close relatives, and now I think most of my viewers, know that. So if I am angry about something that happened on track, I become angry. I say it, and then hopefully afterwards I regret it. I apologize, and it will all go smoothly. But I think it's important to remind everyone that you have to be you have to be okay with the way you are. So it's okay if you're not always in the mood. And I don't really want to be giving this fake idea that I'm always happy, because, well, like everyone, I'm struggling with my own things in my own life. So I like to be quite open about it. So then if I'm having a bad day, then the community is being supportive, and then they understand why I'm having a bad day. So when I start a stream and I had a really long day, I tell them, oh, I had a really long day at work. It was really stressful. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to focus on track today. And then they can quickly see. So yeah, I think it's important. I think nowadays, with all the things that are going on in the world, it's also important to raise, to be aware of mental health. So yeah, I don't try to hide my feelings, because I think if I always look happy and people think, oh, she's always happy, then that's giving them a wrong idea. I'm not actually always happy. Sometimes I'm angry. Sometimes I'm actually quite angry. So yeah, it's good to show them it's normal. Then I don't want to show them at the same time that I'm angry all the time. So, we've got really good days, and then we've got days that are not as good.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah, I think it lends itself or begins to tap in for me personally when you have an Instagram life. That's what you're editing and putting out there, when content creators can edit lots of stuff. But when you're doing a live stream, it's raw, it's real, it's there. And you mentioned your confidence has grown to be able to not necessarily think about it. It's second nature to be confident of who you are because you're putting it out there into the world. How have you found, I think you mentioned it earlier, but the community with you being a woman sim racer? There doesn't seem to be enough sim racing women out there doing what you're doing. How has that confidence grown to be confident to say, yeah, I'm a female in the sim racing world?
So there's a couple of things. Obviously, I mentioned my wall, my inspiration wall. So when I just started, I've had, even now, I'm still getting, the occasional negative comments that I shouldn't be doing this, or that I'm rubbish. I'm 4 seconds of the pace. Like, what am I doing? So these people, they don't really understand that I'm actually on a journey, that there are a lot of people like me on a journey. So I try to ignore them. And then obviously I'm very lucky. I've got a lot of people around me that really care about me and that are really supportive. So for example, to cheer me up, the other day we watched the I think it's on Prime Video. It's a documentary about Leila Lombardi, and that has cheered me up so much. She's my new inspiration, and she didn't care what they were saying around her. So really, when people say things around me, they're trying to discourage me, I'm not paying attention, because that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm really enjoying it. I'm doing it because I've got my goals. I talk about 3, but I've got different ones on the side as well. I'm trying to focus on this and not look at the negative side of it, because if I was, then I'd be angry and sad on stream every day. I wouldn't be able to keep up.
You mentioned about things that you've watched. Recently watched the Brene Brown, where she has this amazing thing that says you, by putting content out there to the world, you are able to say you've gone into you're there to be judged, but you're not wanting to be judged necessarily, but the confidence that you to even be able to put something out there is enough, in as much as you're not looking for negative or positive critiques, but you need to know that confidence within yourself to put content out there every day. How do you look at the positive feedback compared to the negative? Do you get affected by both?
I mean, I like to. I think I've got a favorite YouTuber that keeps all the negative comment in a folder, and he uses them to be trying to just to have a laugh, and he uses them in some of his video. And he said, and that really marked me, that he actually made a video of all the nasty comments that he was receiving, or negative, and then he actually went on a holiday with this. So I'm thinking that everything that's negative can be turned into a positive. So I'm not paying attention to this now, But in the future, who knows? I might make a video of it and invest the money that I would earn from it for my community. Maybe organize a party for the community. I don't know. I'm just trying to think that everything that's being told negatively can be turned into something positive. So I focus more on the positive the positive feedback that I received, than the negative. I really try to ignore it, because it can really hurt if you focus on the negative. So I really try to ignore it.
Yeah. Okay, so talking to Theamusante, I really want to get into what you've been doing recently in terms of the competition. To keep it on that positive track, what have you been doing recently in terms of competing with drivers, F1 esports drivers, with actual former racing drivers? What have you been doing that's really tested where your level is at and you have felt like there's an accomplishment there?
So for the past 4 weeks, I've participated into the Ferrari Hublot esports series, which was a huge challenge for me, because obviously I accepted to participate in this challenge, and some of the guys in this series were actually professional. They've been sim racing for between 5 to 17 years, I think, some of them. So really, I'm against the best of the best, and there was actually real life driver. David Perrault was one of them. So I had to put a lot of training behind that. So that's really shift all my focus. I was doing a lot of different streams. I had to cancel a lot of my streams. I've obviously been really open with the community, told them what was going on, and they were actually really supportive. We had a shout out in the last Ferrari stream, because they were saying that my community was incredible in the chat. So yeah, it's been really challenging, because I didn't realize how much I didn't realize. I knew I would have to put effort, but every night when I was coming home, I had to go behind the rig. There was no days where I didn't do a training. Well, actually, that's a lie. There was one day my pedals were broken. So we had to fix the pedals. But every other day, when I woke up in the morning, I was trying to tell myself, okay, today you're going to work. When you're coming back from work, you have to be 2 hours in the rig. And my friend Matt was here to help me. I took all my Fridays off. So it was the day where we were spending the whole day in the rig. Obviously, you have to have break in between, because you're not that efficient. You get frustrated if you spend too much time. But yeah, I think race 1 didn't quite go according to plan, because I was a lot slower. I didn't have enough fuel. But then from there, it was just a learning curve, and I've been practicing every day. I've never put so many hours. I think I've posted I've posted on Twitter the number of laps I had done. I think I had done over 300 laps, spent more than 12 hours behind the rig throughout the whole week, which was, if you told me about 8 months ago that I would be doing this sort of things, I would never have believed it. But that's the effort you have to put in. And I think most of the guys on that series, they're also putting a huge amount of effort. Every time I was on the server, they were there, they were putting their laps, so yeah, I really want to be competing at higher level when the times will come. I can't believe I had that chance to be doing this competition. I was definitely not at the level of the others, but I've been able to keep up with the consistency of my driving. I didn't have any incidents, so that meant I didn't always finish last, which was good. So yeah.
It's like you get to say what things you would do differently. You get to be the reflective driver. Some people say, oh, you failed in this way, or you were off the pace in some way, but you only learn from those moments that you individually inside yourself go, I want to improve on this. I mean, just to hear the sacrifice that you're making in your own life, your personal life, to be able to feel that sense of achievement, which you clearly do. This is maybe just the start of things then for you.
It is definitely the start, and I can see the work that I need to put behind if I want to reach such a level. So it's going to take me, I think, a couple of years. Originally, that's the goal I gave myself. So I couldn't believe that I managed to do this in 8 months. So yeah, I'm going to carry on with the goal that's to compete at high level, and see where that takes me. But now I know it's going to take me time. I know there's a lot of work, not only what you think, which is um, being on track and being fast and knowing which racing line to take. It's also a lot about the mental, about being ready before being on the rig. And I've learned that thanks to Neil Riddyford, which I had a training with at iZone that really opened my eyes. That there's a lot of things I'm doing a bit wrong as well, that I need to be correcting, to be making sure that not only I learned the wrong thing, but I also learned the basic, the fundamental, and then to be able to go to a higher level. I think that's what you need to be doing. If you look at the drivers, so the person who won the championship, Arnaud Lacombe, when you see him driving, it just looks so relaxed, and I want to reach that level. If you watch me driving, I'm a little tense ball going around the track, being a bit agitated. So I want to reach that level where everything is perfect. So yeah, my strategy in my mind, my mental resilience, but also my racing line and the way I handle the wheel and my setups, and every part of it is important.
It just reminded me what you were saying there about you might look like I think you used the expression like a bow. Did you say that? Like a bow?
I said a little tense ball. That's how I see myself. Like
Oh,
a little
okay.
ball of,
but that energy. Watching Joni Tormala, a very experienced sim racer, was saying on camera. We watched his face. There was no emotion there, and then he said afterwards, inside his stomach, it was churning. So I suppose there's ways in which you deal with those pressures. But I mean, if they look calm on the outside, sometimes these drivers are very nervous inside. But you mentioned about the iZone there and how unlocking your true potential, you've got to give it time. That's what everyone says. And the main thing is engineering the driver. But you did your pro sim training at Silverstone. How was that?
That was amazing. That was eye-opening. So I arrived there around 12, and I spent the next couple of hours talking to Neil Riddyford. I'm probably not saying that correctly, but he was amazing. He's been participating in a lot of championship in the UK, and he's got so much experience and knowledge. It was just mind-blowing what he was teaching me. So he knows a lot about the science behind, the neuroscience, the psychology behind being a driver. So when you go there and they teach you everything. So there's a gym room where they obviously help you to build the strength. So you've got also a brake reaction test reaction machine where you brake and you have to learn, to be more reactive. There was a peripheral vision, so I posted that on Instagram. There's like lots of little lights that light up, and you have to push them as they come, equipped with the boxing gloves. And I thought I was doing really good, but actually I wasn't. I was really happy with my 100 lights beaten in I think 5 minutes. And he said, no, it's okay for a first time, but so I really wish that in the future I can invest and have something like that to train my my awareness, my peripheral vision. So they teach you everything. There's a machine as well that helps you to build your muscle for your arms with the wheel. So you're actually moving a wheel, and there's like 10 kilo weight on the side where you can adjust it to what you want. There's obviously to build up your neck. There's running, cardio. It's incredible what they've got in that gym. I love fitness. I'm always in the gym. So that was definitely one of the highlights while being there, to see that they had all these gym equipment, but related to racing, because you don't always see that in the gym. You have to be creative, use a plate, trying to turn it around like it's a wheel. And then they have different simulators. So I've been using the it was the GT simulator. So the main car. And that was mind-blowing what he actually taught me. So obviously I'm very focused because I'm a human being on what's in front of my nose. You read a book, you use your phone, it's in front of your nose. So he was teaching me to look in the distance. He was teaching me about using my subconscious, my subconscious brain needs to take over. So he was making me count while I was trying to remember where to brake, and that didn't go quite well. So that I know that's something I need to work on, to try and do things. So maybe I think what I'll be doing is singing while racing. That's going to help me for my subconscious brain to take over. And yeah, there was so many things he taught me into one morning that were more related to the fact that I need to relax. Something he said that I really liked, because I'm very organized, or at least I like to think I'm very organized. Was the fact you have to go on track with a plan. There's no point if going on track without a plan. If you're just going around thinking, oh, I'm going to beat my lap time, that's not going to happen. So now when I'm going on track, I'm going with this mental, this state of mind where I'm just, okay, T1, I'm going to do this. T2, I'm going to do this. And I'm telling myself, okay, late apex, your focus on your glance. I have to tell myself every now and then what I'm going to be doing next, and that actually helps me to get less frustrated, because I like to, I don't like, but that's the way I am at the moment, which is when I make a mistake, I focus on my mistake. So you see me on stream getting really angry about that turn that I just took badly, but actually I could be taking the next turn really well and gain a lot of time there. So it's a lot of things that is told me with the science behind, the neuroscience, the psychology, and it was really eye-opening. I would really recommend to any driver or any sim racer that want to get a really good understanding of the fundamental of racing. You might think you're doing everything right, but actually you might not. And these guys have got so much knowledge that they've helped me to see all these areas I need to develop before I get to the level I want to be. So I'm going to be working hard on what Neil has taught me in the next years of my life. It's something that you continuously have to work on to be good. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear that. And I can also hear the slight frustration, but not frustration because you're not where you want to be yet. But when you learn new things that you have to try, and maybe this will help you, you have to reprogram that brain, and then you have to leave it to habit, and then it becomes the subconscious. It's at least you've got that clear plan of these are all the steps that I know where I want to get to, but I just have to trust in that method. I think there's some great advice there. Thea, I want to ask Thea, Phantom says on Twitch, do you recommend getting a coach for sim racing? And did it help you extract more racing potential? I guess that second part of that question has been answered, but you would recommend getting a coaching to help you find that extra.
Yeah, definitely. I was just speaking yesterday to one of the girls from the more female series, Marin, that's her name. And I was telling her about my experience at iZone with Neil Rediford. And she was saying, I had a coaching with David Perrell. So they have the Coach Dave Academy. She had a whole session, and he was basically saying her very similar things to what Neil taught me. So obviously it's more... David is a real life racer, so he was telling her, yeah, the same thing. They had the same experience. So I do think that being coached by professional definitely helps. I've spoken to David on a few occasions because obviously we work together for the Sim Grid's More Female Racer series that we have done a month ago now, and he had given me some advice which really helped me, which are all about the mindset. I think he's very strongly feeling about the mindset, and which is what I learned through iZone. So getting a coach, a few hours coaching, if you need it, more than that, can really, really help. I know for me, it's really, I can see the difference now in how tense I was before and how I'm starting to relax a bit more, because I'm not focused as much on my delta or on my lap time. I know that's going to come as all these other fundamental basics are being ingrained in my brain. So yeah, I'm being patient, and I think that coaching can really, really help with that, because you you can also have really bad habits, and coaches are here to tell you what these bad habits are and what you need to come out of.
Amen to that. We all need sometimes a little bit of reflection. Clougher says, you've driven probably 10 different racing disciplines and sims so far. What is your favorite and least favorite?
So the favorite is definitely GT3, because it's just the most thrilling car to drive. If I would get the occasion one day to become a racer, it would definitely be GT3. Although I like rallying, I do think GT3 would be my type of racing. The least enjoyable, and I think most of my community will know that, it's I enjoy watching F1. I love following F1, but I think for me the less enjoyable is F1, because there's a lot going on behind the scene. There's a teamwork. There's all these technical things that you need to set up, and I'm not on point on that. I need an actual team to do that job, and me to do the racing.
Okay. Well, this is good. I like the fact that you're an absolute planner. You love to know what you're going to do and being reflective on that. I wanted to ask this, and I guess it's kind of been answered, but how does your personality reflect in your driving style? I suppose it's changing, isn't it? It's forever changing. But when you started, maybe compare that personality and your driving style to where you're at now.
Yes. So obviously, I've had feedback from people in the community, but also from my fiance. He's very honest. He's going to tell me if I look bad in the morning, or so we were when I'm on track, I was being too soft. So he's told me a lot that I needed to improve on that, and I think that with my confidence growing, the more knowledge I acquire, I'm being more aggressive on track. And I don't know if it reflects my personality that much, because I don't like to see myself as an aggressive person, although it might tell you that I am quite aggressive. So I don't know. I just I feel like I wanted to be nice. So at first I was a bit too nice, but I do need to grow my confidence and be more aggressive on track. That doesn't mean that I'm going to turn into some aggressive person. I think that's that.
That's good. It's good to see that transition and where you've gone to. Looking at the content that you've been putting out there, playing Dirt Rally, iRacing, F1, which you mentioned, Assetto Corsa Competizione, that's where Matt comes in. It was brilliant watching one of the videos where he was sort of saying, like, you got to keep looking directly in front of you, and you were mentioning about the things that you didn't like with the training, where someone will put their finger on your screen, and you were very adamant that you weren't a fan of that. So learning where you've come from and where you're at now, and it's great to hear this advice. I'm just looking generally from my perspective, hosting Nitro Nights and working in F1 esports. There seems to be there doesn't seem to be a balance of female sim racers. And I'm wondering if we can spend just a short amount of time on this. Why do you think that is? And how do we go about changing that? Because I was enthralled by the W series, Bajska Vissa winning, but then there was Marta Garcia, there's Irina Serdakova. There were great races going on. But do you think there's going to be a time when it's an 50-50, or how do we need to change that? Or do we need to change that?
So I think there is a cultural bias, and there's a lot of people that are telling me there isn't. But if I look at just my viewers numbers, I think it's 99.7% male. And it's a little bit less than it was when I just started 5 months ago. I don't think 50-50 is needed, but it would be awesome if we could see more women. And I do think that if you look in the world of motorsport already, there are more women. There are more women behind the scenes, it seems, in the teams. But we are seeing a lot more women. And as I was mentioning the documentary, I think it's called Beyond Driven, which was on Prime Video, and it was about Leila Lombardi, but there was also a lot of other drivers. There was Carmen Jordan. She was she was talking about her experience. There was a lot of the W Series girls. So yeah, I think we are seeing a shift. I think we need some of these girls to show what they're doing, so that other women know that they can do it. Because when you grow up as a little girl, you might not necessarily know that, okay, I can become a racing driver, because if you're watching Formula One, you won't see any woman in F1. Now, if you're watching, obviously, Sofia Flores, I probably said that wrong as well. If you're watching her, you might think, oh, that was okay.
I struggle with that pronunciation as well. Yeah, Sophia Flörsch, and watching her driving, you're like, why are we not seeing more of her? But yeah, sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Don't worry. But yeah, she's giving you, she's giving all the little girls out there, or maybe women like me, a little bit more mature, giving us the vision that we can actually do it. Because yeah, when I grew up, I didn't think working in motorsport was an option for me, because none of my close relationships were into motorsports, because I just didn't see myself. I didn't see anyone on TV when I grew up that was in motorsport and a female. So it's nice to see that there's more and more women involved. And I think there is a shift happening. And I think that in the world of sim racing, there aren't that many out there. There are a few. I found a few. Emily in Australia, but there are not many. So I like to think that I can be one of them. If I have a small influence, obviously, it might be a bit smaller than some of the other, well, like Emily Jones in Australia, but I do have a little influence, and I like to think that maybe I can be a bit of an influence like Leila Lombardia. That might sound really pretentious, but I like to think that I could inspire myself from her and do a bit like she did, because ultimately she's done that years ago, and she's still inspiring generation to come. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's I think that's a great thing, and the fact that you would like to emulate someone of her stature is a great goal to have. But as long as you don't feel the pressure to continually do that, and you don't feel that every content that you put out there is going to inspire the next female sim racer, but that you are enjoying what you do, you love what you do, and if that is a byproduct of it, then that would be the icing on top of the cake.
Yeah, that's definitely important. Obviously, sim racing is not for everyone. Not everyone enjoyed the speed. Some people might prefer knitting, for example. I have knitted previously. I don't have the patience to knit, but my grandma has, for example. So I enjoy racing. So I'm glad I found out 8 months ago. I could have gone years again without knowing, but I'm glad I was forced into a rig and never came out of it. So it's very, very important to find what you love and spend all of your energy going into it. Because when I grew up, my dad is a pilot, and he told me it was very important to find something I like. I want to wake up 4 every morning. So that's what I tried to do when I was growing up, trying to find a work that I would enjoy, trying to find my hobbies I would enjoy, and I'm glad I found it.
Well, listen, I think you're so inspiring, not just the content you make, but just the way you conduct yourself, and very humble as well with the work that you've done. I would like to wrap things up, really, because I mean the questions have been brilliant. Thank you very much for all of those that have come through. But I kind of want to know what's next. What's on your plan? What's on your list? I imagine there's a list somewhere on a wall, from what I understand about you, with the things that you're setting out to do. But what's kind of next on the horizon?
So obviously we've just sat down with I'm gonna call them my team, but we've just sat down and we decided what we were going to do for the next couple of months in terms of streams. We tried to make them quite movable. So what I mean by that is, if there's something else that comes on the way, because the Ferrari Hublot Esports Championship came out a bit out of the blue. So if there's any opportunity that comes along the way like this, I can just pause some of the streams that I'm doing. But we've got the streams planned for the next couple of months. So we've got a Porsche Super Cup on Wednesdays. That's for the community. We're going to do every Wednesday. So this Wednesday, actually, it's hot lapping. So it's just a fun session to see where everyone level is, and then there will be two different tier. You've got the amateur, and then the pro, which is based on your level. We've got iRacing. I give myself a challenge to try and get a podium, because I haven't gotten a podium. It's very hard in iRacing, so I'm going back to the roots with the Mazda MX-5, and that's going to be my main two focus. I've also got my endurance racing. So I'm trying to participate in the SimGrid Endurance Series. So the qualification is until the 4th of November. And we've got an all-girl team, which I've met these girls throughout the more female races that we done a month ago with the SimGrid. And they've been into sim racing since. So we've made an all-girl team, and we're going to be practicing for our endurance races that are to come. I think they are going up until March. So there's one each month, 4 hours. The last one, I think, is 12 hours. And it's going to be incredible, because we've already been, so I was training with them last night. We're going to have a special livery. We haven't picked the team name, but it's to come. And then we're training, looking for the setup together. It's been incredible. And obviously there's the more female races season 2, which is to come. So that's obviously on the back of my mind. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting things. There's a lot of content to come as well in terms of shorter video. I think I need to put some of them out there, because for the past few weeks, my focus has been solely on Ferrari championship. So I think I need to start making more videos again.
Wow. I mean, just hearing that list, people watching will be like, that is not a short list. That is lots going on. But the energy and enthusiasm, the vibe you give off is you can't wait to get started on all of those things. Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you a bit better. I hope that you keep in contact with Nitro Nights, and we'll definitely be watching all of your content, because as long as you keep challenging yourself, I know for a fact there's going to be some brilliant videos out there that we all going to love watching. Well, I hope you've enjoyed being on the Nitro Nights Stories. Has it been too in depth? Has it been too much at times, or could we have gone in a little bit more?
I think it was really good. I don't want to. I think it was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So it was good to me.
Oh, perfect. Well, listen, an absolute pleasure. Theamusante, thank you so much for your time, and it's brilliant to get to know you that little bit more. Looking forward to watching your progress in the Ferrari Championships. So listen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
So there you go. Nitro Nights Stories done and dusted there. Maybe you want to suggest who we should get on next, but that was a fantastic episode. My first one of Nitro Nights Stories. Theamusante is definitely, if you haven't watched their videos, go and do that right now. We'll catch you again next time in the Nitro Nights Stories.